The NFL Players Association reacting swiftly to Thursday's incident and promising a full investigation on whether the strict rules on head injuries were violated. Joining me now is the executive director of the NFL Players Association, DeMaurice Smith. DeMaurice, thank you so much for being with us. There are so many questions. Within an hour of Sunday's game, when Tua was questionably back in the second half, you guys at the Players Association announced you were initiating an investigation. What's that entail, and how much more scrutiny will this get following what happened Thursday?
Well, thank you for having me on this morning. There's going to be a full investigation, and that investigation started in earnest last week, and it focuses on really two things. One, whether the protocols were followed when there was an obvious indication that he may have suffered a traumatic brain injury last week. The second focus that we have the opportunity to do under the collective bargaining agreement is to look at the decision of the medical personnel, and primarily to ensure that they were treating this player like we want all of our players treated, like a patient first instead of a player first.
And DeMaurice, the first thing you said is that one of the things you guys will be investigating is whether those protocols were followed. Under the league's concussion protocol, players displaying gross motor instability, that's a no-go. And I know this is all coming up because of Thursday, but it all goes back to Sunday. We all saw Tua stumbling after that hit and what looked exactly like gross motor instability. How could he have been cleared to return to play on Sunday?
Well, that's the goal of the investigation, and I saw it as well. And I've been in this job long enough not only to see someone engage at a time on the field where it looks like they've suffered a traumatic brain injury, but more importantly, I've been in this job long enough to know that the goal of the collective bargaining agreement and the reason we wrote the protocols back in 2011 is we want our doctors to treat our players as patients first. And when you look at what happened last week, when we all saw him stumbling on the field, the first question I always have is, would that doctor have put his son or his daughter back in the game? Yeah, the protocols are designed to find out what happens after they view a traumatic incident like that. But more importantly, the collective bargaining agreement wants to make sure that doctors treat them as patients first.
And you said those protocols were put in place in 2011. So over 10 years ago, the team says they went above and beyond checking him. Whose responsibility is it to protect these players from themselves, these elite athletes who they live to compete? Who should be protecting them?
It's not even a question of thankfully, it's not a question of should. Every employer under the law has an obligation to do their best to protect the employees. We have a multi-layered system that is designed to make sure that someone has eyes on a player on the field. So that responsibility starts with the team doctor. It starts with every person on the team who has a job of providing medical care. There is a neutral, unaffiliated traumatic consultant paid for by both the NFLPA and the National Football League. It's that person's call at the end of an analysis to make a decision about whether the person goes in. But the idea of writing this entire thing was to put everybody on notice that it is the importance of protecting player safety. And the concern that we have is whether or not everybody involved in this chain acted in a way to treat the player as a patient first rather than a player first. So
many people wondering exactly that. DeMaurice Smith, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We are all thinking about Tua as he recovers.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.